Hello and welcome to the Autistic Experience, your autism and ADHD podcast for the discerning brain. New episodes come out most Sundays at midday UK time, and you can also go follow us on Instagram at the Autistic Experience. My name is Kieran, as always joined by Chloe.
Hey!
And if you're hearing something a bit different, it's because we're trialing a new microphone setup. So we've actually got wireless microphones, and we're giving those a go because it means we could just have a wander around. Look, I'm walking around here. I'm walking around our flat. Oh, look, and I'm in a different room now.
He actually is in a different room.
Yeah, would you look at that? I can just I can leave whenever I want.
We can just go for a walk outside if we want.
Yeah, well, I mean, within range of the receiver anyway.
Let's find out how far it goes.
Yeah, so... well.
No one knows.
So yeah, we could always go record in the garden if we wanted to.
Yeah.
If it's not having a storm outside anyway.
Yeah, which it currently is.
Yeah.
Quite a nasty one. Anyway.
Yeah, so the actual reason I got these was not for... this podcast. It's just because, occasionally I volunteer at a local library which puts on events, which I kind of turn up and record to kind of turn into podcasts. And they have the speakers there tend to have a bit of an annoying habit of not talking into the microphones, even though I tend to set it up so that they have amplification through it, so I feed everything through a speaker so they can be heard. And yet they're still like, I'm just going to talk around here and have the microphone down here so no one can actually hear what I'm saying. It just gets a room noise. So my hope anyway is that we can get just seeing how the wireless mics do, basically. So yeah, that's why we're testing them out for this one. Just seeing how they go. And also, as we mentioned, we can walk around.
And do fun poses with the microphones.
Exactly. So let's see, what have we been up to this week? Well, I think the main thing that we're going to be talking about today is doing new things.
Yeah.
Going to new places, meeting new people. Because in the last week, we've both started doing something new for our schedules.
We have.
So I've joined a nearby brass band because I've not been playing for 4 years. And you've done a tri-dive at a local diving group.
Yep.
So I thought what we could do is just kind of both of us talk a little bit about those whole experiences and kind of what they were like, and see if we can come to some sort of conclusion about good ways to survive meeting new people.
No, I'm just thinking if I had a conclusion for how to survive meeting new people, I'd be able to use it myself already, but...
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously.
Shall I go, or do you want to go?
Yeah, well, all right, so I'll interview you.
Okay.
So we'll do it this way.
Shouldn't we be using the same microphone? You could do an interview. You could be like, hey,
Well, you've got your own microphone. I don't need to.
Yeah, but you could.
I mean, yeah, I could do, but then it would be like Jeremy Kyle.
I mean, there's lots of other things that do this apart from Jeremy Kyle.
Yeah, but not in this pose.
Yeah, true. You are a bit Jeremy Kyle at the moment. He often sits on the floor.
So the diving group, what initially made you want to get into diving? Because it's not exactly what you might call a regular person hobby.
Well, this is a really fun story about the struggles of our good friend Executive Dysfunction. Now, I don't know if you've met Executive Dysfunction before, but he's a very good friend of ours. And basically, Executive Dysfunction is really good at stopping you from doing things.
Some say that's its only job.
Yeah, so many years ago, 4 years ago to be precise, I had a job where I worked in a little diving team at the Bear Grylls Adventure in Birmingham, as you may have heard of. They have a little tank You can go and do a little scuba dive there, and it's quite cool. There's lots of sharks and things. I just did snorkeling because I wasn't qualified to do scuba diving. I did a dive there once because all the staff kind of get the chance to give the activity a go. And it was very cool. And I've always kind of liked being in the water. So it was at that point that I thought, hey, I could do this as a thing. And as I said, then our friend Executive Dysfunction kind of got in the way of that being pursued for, well, other things as well for quite a long time. Until finally, recently, I was inspired to get in contact with the local diving group that I have known about since we moved to Manchester, which was about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I just haven't pursued it until now. So there we go. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So you got in contact with him eventually.
Yes.
I mean, I'm no less guilty of this, as we'll come on to.
Yeah. To be fair.
Come on to see. Got in contact with him, say like, hey, can I come down, do some diving? How did that work?
Pretty much, yeah. It was like, hey, are you still up and running? How do you work? Can I come and do dive, please?
Dives, please.
It was like, yeah, we're still here. We're still doing things. You can come and do a try dive on this date if you want to. And I said, yeah, cool, let's go. And I did.
How were you feeling about it? Do you remember? Like nervous, excited?
As you do. I had this try dive. I had to be there at 7:30 in the evening. And so as you do, I couldn't do anything for the rest of the day. Or I was semi-productive until about 3 hours beforehand, because then obviously you're like, oh, better not get into anything now because I ain't got time. I mean, I was okay until I left. I think I was quite excited for it until I started heading down. And then it was like the reality of, oh, this is happening and I have no idea what to expect. And they're gonna be people. Like, who is this person that I've been talking to? What are they gonna be like? Am I gonna be weird? Like, it was just, yeah, everything to do with the unexpected, I suppose, kind of starts when you actually start heading down there and you think, oh, I'm doing this thing. It's not just an idea now.
Yeah. Oh no, consequences.
Yeah, basically. Before it happens, you're like, oh, it's safe because it's not really real. But then as soon as the time comes, you go, oh yeah.
What do you mean I've actually got to go down and do something?
It's not just a fun idea that I had now. I've actually got to do it. Oh, okay. Oh no, I wasn't prepared for this.
The follow through.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this date for about a month now. It's been arranged for about a month and oh no, I've got to do it. I didn't expect this. And I didn't want to go, basically. When I was approaching, I was like, I think I messaged you as well. I was like, I don't want to go anymore. I'm scared.
Yeah, but that's pretty standard for you though, isn't it?
Yeah. It was like you get there and I could see there was a door open and there was a guy outside painting the fence. And I was like, do I go in? Do I not? Do I talk to this man? Is he part of this? Is there a door that I can enter? I don't know what to do. Oh, let's just go home. I can't do this.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, that was basically this procedure for when we went to the local autism group.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't it? We just kind of found the place and just hung outside it for ages. Yeah. Putting off as much as possible until like, well, this is literally the only reason we came here.
Yeah, and eventually we kind of spoke to them.
Yeah. Like, hey, are you autistic?
After we'd been awkwardly standing a few feet away from them for about half an hour.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how this got to be done.
Mm-hmm.
That's how new things got to be done.
Yeah. So the actual dive, I imagine, was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you are with water. So for me, I love being in the water.
Well, I imagine if you didn't like water, you wouldn't go diving.
No, well, you'd think that, but the number of people that I dealt with at Bear Grylls who were on the dive that bailed out because they got scared, you wouldn't believe how many people actually got into a wetsuit, got kitted up, went into the water, and then decided they were too scared. As in, these people had travelled from however far away to come to Birmingham to do this thing. They bailed. So, yeah, it was good. I was already kind of familiar with a lot of the stuff because obviously I worked with it for months. So it was kind of like a nice, oh, I remember this thing. And oh, that's weird. That's exactly the same as the one that I used to use there. And yeah, it was quite cool. I had some issues with the kit, which I almost always have with everything I ever do ever, in that I get the wrong sized stuff, or it like I can't make it fit properly, or just I expected it, and so it was fun, but it was very difficult. It's a weird sensation that I think you don't get unless you try it. There's just nothing you can kind of compare it to. Just being at the bottom of a swimming pool, like literally flat stomach on the bottom of a swimming pool, looking around and just breathing kind of normally, but it's a bit weird. Like, yeah, it's it's hard to explain, but I think it's very fun.
And like dealing with the actual like talking, being vaguely social, how did that go?
I found it okay this time because there was only one person there when I arrived, and he was also, I felt, a bit of an awkward person. So that's fine. But it's something I'm interested in, and it's something I genuinely find cool. And so when people are showing up and I'm kind of, meeting them and we're talking about something that I like, I feel all right sort of interacting with them about it. So there was one guy that was there that was telling me about how he lived in South America for a while, and he was showing me pictures and videos of like dives they'd been on and like times he'd seen whales and things, and like that. I think that's really cool. So I'm happy to talk about that. That's probably a good tip to say, actually, that people are hard and meeting new people is very hard, but it always helps if you go out and try and pursue something that you're actually interested in. And you'll probably find that it's a little bit easier with those people then, because they get you a bit more.
I think also, especially for our brains, it helps if the thing is like an actual activity.
Yeah, because I like being quite hands-on with stuff, and it sort of satisfies that, and you can talk about how to do it and what you're supposed to do, and
all the conversation is kind of built around the activity.
Yeah.
And if you know a decent amount about the activity itself, then you're kind of sorted. You don't necessarily need like a script.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you're with people who are hanging out just to hang out, then, all the whole unexpected, like anyone could talk about anything.
Yeah.
And if the conversation doesn't start going the way you think it's going to go, then you kind of get a bit stuck and you sit in the corner on your phone and just kind of retreat like that little turtle.
Yeah. If they start talking about something random that you can't relate to or anything. Whereas if you're there for an activity, for a thing, it's the same thing for everyone. You're probably going to talk about that thing. That's okay. I think the good thing is that because I'm quite new to this, and they're all a lot more experienced, that me kind of not being able to talk as much about it is kind of expected. So maybe me being a bit quieter and me being a bit just letting other people talk at me, you'd expect that, because I haven't done anywhere near as much stuff as they have. So,
But at the same time, it's not like you're an absolute newbie, right?
No, I mean, I know enough to get by in a conversation, I suppose. I've known divers before, so I know the basics.
Yeah, I mean, well, you also have done diving.
Yeah.
Well, you've done that. You know all the equipment.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of getting on to the subject of people underestimating us and talking at us like we know absolutely nothing about the thing, and it can get quite frustrating when they do that and we actually know a good amount and we're quite experienced.
Yeah.
But we also feel that going, actually, I know all this, can seem a bit big-headed.
Yeah, like our brains make it hard for us to actually express how much we know, because we don't want to seem like we're kind of trying to show off, especially to a new group of people. We'd rather just back down a little bit and just let them go, let them talk and pretend that we don't already know what they're talking about. And yeah, it's hard to kind of say, actually, I know this. It's a bit surprising, I think, for other people if you go in and you're not a total newbie and they're kind of like, I don't really know how to deal with this and I don't know whether you know this or not. It's better to just be like, yeah, you go ahead. I'll pretend that I have no knowledge and we'll all be happy.
Yeah.
It's easier that way. But I think another thing that obviously I run into that you wouldn't necessarily run into, but I think a lot of other autistic women that can relate is that not only do we get underestimated because of, you know, the way the brain works, but we also get underestimated a lot because we're women. And so we get kind of a bit of a double whammy sometimes of new people not thinking, or well, this is the thing, the point. New people assuming that we don't know as much as we do. A, because of brain, B, because of women.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point of it all, isn't it? And I suppose, I don't know whether you had this. I think you should probably talk about your thing as well. But the kind of assumptions, people making assumptions, I think is the big issue at the root of it all.
Yeah, because you had some issues with your diving where they kind of assumed you weren't able to carry tanks.
Yeah, they seemed like they were a bit kind of worried about me carrying it. It was like you never know because they don't know me and I'm new and I am quite a small person, so I can understand why people might assume that I'm not as physically, you know, strong as I am. Not to say that I am physically strong, but I think I'm stronger than I look. And it's, yeah, just like you said, it's assuming, isn't it?
Yeah.
And basically, if people just didn't assume as much, then it would maybe give the autistics a little bit of an easier time of things, because people wouldn't necessarily always assume that autism equals totally incapable of doing anything.
Yeah, it's that weird situation where the assumptions about autism are either idiot or genius.
Yeah, and I feel like as well, if you're kind of in between, and if you're you're autistic, but you're what they would call high functioning or low support needs, that then you can come across as a bit weird, but that's it. And so people just assume that you're weird.
Yeah.
And they don't think anything. They don't think there might be a reason for it. They just go, this person's weird. And that's it. It's just, yeah. New people and assumptions is the hard part.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah, that's always the most difficult part, because when people actually get to know us, then it becomes a bit easier, because then they can just go, oh, that's just how they communicate.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, it's kind of difficult.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to say too much because I know I can be weird and I don't want to put everyone off, but also I don't want to say too little because I need to try and get myself in the group and maybe, you know, actually make some friends. Is it your turn?
Yeah.
Is it time to swap the roles? Am I the interviewer now?
I mean, you can do, but... so, well, the story about my one, again, after a pandemic's worth of not doing a thing and executive dysfunction, I've kind of not been in brass band for a couple of years now. For ages, I've been like, I really should find a band to go to. And it's just not happened. But finally, I kind of stumped up and was like, okay, let's actually find one. So I managed to find one. I emailed. It's like, hey, can I come play? And they were like, yeah, sure. And
you were like, oh, that was nowhere near as bad as I built up in my brain.
Well. So yeah, I went along last week to go and have a play. And I think similarly to you, like it's a kind of strange, you know, drive, like, because I had to drive there. So you get the whole thing of going, okay, I've got to actually find the place. And then we go up to it, it's like, am I in the right place? Am I, you know, can I park here? Where do I park? Blah, 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 blah. And of course, the way it goes is that I wasn't doing anything for ages beforehand. And then when it came time to leave, it was like, oh, wait, we need to eat. An hour should be enough to cook and eat, right? No, it's not, apparently.
Yeah.
I get there, kind of wander up. And the building the rehearsal space is in is like 3 stories, and it's quite a big building. So I was like, okay, where do I go? But the good news is, brass band's quite loud. So I was
Yeah.
like, oh, follow the noise, follow the noise, follow the noise. Okay, here we go. So I wander out and just kind of awkwardly kind of go, okay, let's just...
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally about to start because I wander in about 4 minutes before it starts. And then I go, okay, well, let's just start getting my stuff out. And I'm assuming someone's going to tell me what, like, I know more or less where to go sit, but I didn't know what part I was playing because I basically just, like, in the emails, I was like, honestly, I'd play whatever, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind too much. Because I do tend to play like one specialized part, but each band only really has one of those parts, like one person playing that part, and they already have one. So I was like, well, I've got another instrument as well, so which tends to have an army of them. So I was like, oh yeah, just put me on whatever's needed. Basically, I haven't played it in 4 years. I'm a bit rusty. So yeah, I kind of rocked up. I don't think there were too many quizzical looks. But yeah, someone kind of noticed new person and came over because it was the person I'd been emailing. And she came over and kind of talked to me. It was like, hey, blah, 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 introduced me to the musical director. And they're like, hey, where do you fancy sitting? I was like, honestly, don't care.
Home. In my car.
Yeah. So I kind of sit down and then kind of start playing. And again, it's an activity-based thing. So like there is stuff to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to just being able to pass witty comments to just whoever sat next to me. Because that's one of the ways my brain works. It's just like witty one-liners, just off whoever sat next to me. You're going to get a stream of one-liners. But yeah, I think with the whole, because like I've been playing for like 20 odd years, there's a kind of need to try and demonstrate that, no, I'm not a beginner.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those bands where it's just more of a, if you want to come along and play, you can come along and play. There's not really a standard to stick to.
So it's not like a consistent sort of, we will rehearse and we will all be great and we will put on concerts and things like that.
They do concerts and stuff, but it's not like, because you got like top tier bands, which are like, professional. It's just more of a kind of a
bit more casual
community one. They do concerts and everything, but it's not like a, you must come to rehearsal every week or you will be executed kind of a deal.
If you make a mistake, you will be kicked out.
Yeah, so I made like a not necessarily a big show, but I wasn't super subtle in kind of like opening up my case and go, look, I've got 2 instruments in here. One of them is a very specialized instrument, which not many people play. Oh, look at this.
Yeah. Just getting it out and like polishing it up, like.
Yeah. Oh, what's this genie doing in here? But yeah, so like I think the good news about like those sorts of bands is that they don't really make that many assumptions, and it's quite easy to prove if you're quite good.
I'm just imagining you like getting your instrument out, just being like, okay, I'm just going to do a little, I'm going to do, and you're like, I'm just going to warm up quickly, sorry, just 1 second. And they're like, what?
Yeah, no time to warm up.
You're like doing the solo from that song in the Jungle Book. Like, okay, who's this guy?
Show off. But yeah, then afterwards, they kind of went downstairs for a drink and kind of a bit of social time. There were maybe about 30 people in the band. I think only about 10 stayed behind for a drink. And I think that really showed the difference in sociability levels because, as I said, like when when we're actually rehearsing and just like one-liners off to the side, but I'm only having to communicate with maybe the person sat next to me or maybe 2 over from that. Whereas like if they're just talking about life and anything, I'm just sat there going, I'm just an observer.
Yeah.
I will reply if spoken to.
Yeah.
But I will not contribute anything apart from warmth.
Yeah.
Physical warmth, not emotional.
Yeah, it's like building that connection with people is hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an autistic thing to struggle with making and maintaining friendships.
Yeah, I mean, even in like my previous bands, I was never really a social kind of a person.
Yeah.
I think I was more social with the band I played in university, just because there was some people there slightly more my own age.
Yeah.
But like the other one I was in for 10 years. Like, I think the only person I socialized with was my sibling, who also played in the band. And like most of my social time was talking smack about the other cornet players to their faces. Because like I was the only one who could count on the row. So my time was spent like sat next to the principal cornet, like the top in charge cornet player, going, count, yes. No, not yet. Not yet. We come in now. This little letter here means quiet. Yes. Why are you trying to break the decibel limit?
Yeah. But the thing is, you were in that band for like 10 years, you say.
Yeah.
And you managed 10 years in it without being social, really, or without feeling the need to push yourself to go to social events or anything like that, right?
Well, I went to social events if there was food.
Yeah, but you didn't.
And then I would turn up, eat the food, not say much, and leave again.
That's
Perfect.
fair. You go get that free lunch.
Yeah, damn right.
But like you were there for 10 years and you maintained it for 10 years, just doing it like that. And you've joined this new one, and you said that there's about 30 people in the band. You know, the majority of them didn't stay to be social afterwards. Maybe, maybe it's a one-time thing, or maybe a few of them just don't like socialising.
I think it's more that it was 10 o'clock at night and people needed to get home for work in the morning.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it's kind of a good thing, because it means that if you wanted to leave afterwards, it's not like you're the only person in the group that's going to leave.
I think the main reason I stayed was just because like I was like the new person.
Yeah.
And just to kind of put in a bit of time to go, hey, look, I'm putting in effort.
Yeah. But like, it's good to see that it's not kind of a pressured environment where you can just either sit there for a bit if you want to and you don't have to engage too much, or you can just go home because you did it for 10 years in another band without being overly social. So, and one benefit of both of the activities that we've both recently kind of got back into is that while you're doing it, you don't have to talk to anyone.
Yeah. Like, yeah, your one, you're underwater. Quite difficult to do.
It's amazing, yeah.
My one, you've got an instrument pressed up to your mouth.
Exactly.
No one's talking.
You're still doing an activity with a group of people where you're all doing the same thing. You're all playing a piece of music together. You're kind of doing it as a team, if you like. You can all be like, yeah, afterwards we did such a good job. But while you're doing it, you can spend however long doing this thing with the other group of people, and you don't have to speak to anyone.
Non-verbal activities.
It's the perfect thing. And like the same with mine. It's like you said, diving, you're underwater, you can't speak to people, but you're still with other people. Yeah. You're still doing something with other people. You're having the same experience that you can then talk about afterwards. But there's no pressure while you're doing it. And that is why, when it comes to picking up new hobbies and activities, we highly recommend doing one that means you don't have to talk to anybody else while you're doing it. Yeah. Like swimming, like music playing, ideally something that is like a blowing instrument, because... Yeah,
non-verbal activities, if you can manage them.
No pressure. Nice and relaxing, but you can still be around people.
Well, I mean, if you're going diving, there's quite a lot of pressure. Hey! And with that, I think we'll probably end it. We're not going to top that joke. Let's go our separate ways for the time being, and we'll catch you next week on The Autistic Experience. Go follow us on Instagram at The Autistic Experience, and look out for new episodes whenever they turn up, usually Sundays at midday UK time.
But we like to keep things spicy.
Yeah, we like to keep things unpredictable.
We really don't.
We don't actually, no.
That's the opposite of what we like.
No, that's, yeah. We like things to be predictable, but...
also not too predictable.
Yeah.
Because then that's boring.
Yeah. That's why our lives are a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, until next week.
Yeah!
I've been Kieran, she's been Chloe, and...
You go get that free lunch at ideally a non-verbal activity or group meeting.
Yeah, we'll workshop that one, yeah. There's got to be a snappier way of saying it.